Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We're diving into Personality Isn't Permanent by Dr. Benjamin Hardy today.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Pretty interesting premise.
For sure.
So it basically says we can choose our personalities.
Like it's not set in stone.
Right. Like, have you ever felt kind of stuck with traits you don't love?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what we're going to unpack today.
Cool.
We'll even debunk some myths about those personality tests we all love.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah, but are they really as accurate as they seem?
That's a great question.
What do you think?
Let's start with the Myers-Briggs.
The MBTI.
Yeah, it's super popular.
It is, but the origins are kind of surprising.
Really?
Yeah, it was created by a mother-daughter team
Wow.
at home
No
with
way.
no formal psychology background.
You're kidding.
No, and scientifically, it doesn't really hold up.
Huh. So if the MBTI's not so reliable,
Right.
how should we think about personality?
Well, a more scientifically sound approach is the five-factor model.
It describes personality on 5 sliding scales.
Instead of like rigid categories,
Exactly, so you're not boxed in.
you can actually work on developing certain traits.
Yeah, the ones you want to strengthen.
So I might not be doomed to be an introvert forever.
Nope. There's hope for you yet.
Okay, good.
Everyone falls somewhere along the spectrum.
For each trait.
Yeah, it's about degrees, not types.
I like that.
Think of it like adjusting levels on a mixing board.
But for your personality,
Exactly.
I see your point, but it's tough to shake the feeling
What's that?
that we're basically the same person over time.
Ah, I see.
How does Dr. Hardy explain that?
Well, that's the second myth he tackles.
That's that.
The idea that personality is fixed and unchanging.
Like it never changes.
Right, but research shows personality actually changes throughout our lives.
Really?
Yeah, often in big ways.
So you're saying I'm evolving without realizing it.
Got it.
How does that happen?
Humans are super adaptable
We adjust to changes all the time.
without even noticing.
I guess so.
Plus, we tend to see ourselves in ways that confirm what we already believe.
Ah, that makes sense.
Like, think about how much our lives change.
Jobs, relationships, where we live.
Yeah, all that shapes who we are.
I never thought of it like that.
For example, switching jobs can impact your personality.
Really?
Yeah, if a new job needs you to be more outgoing
You might become more extroverted.
over time.
Interesting.
Makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it does. Our environment really shapes us.
It really does.
Yeah.
But what about our past?
Yeah.
Those early experiences must have a big influence on personality.
Right.
Sure.
Those must matter a lot.
Yeah, you're right. The past plays a role.
Okay.
But Dr. Hardy pushes back against this idea
Against.
that our past, determines who we are.
Okay.
He believes it's not the events themselves,
Yeah.
but how we interpret them.
Like years later.
Yeah, even now that makes a difference,
So like two people could go through the same terrible experience and end
Yeah.
up totally different.
depending on how they process it. Yeah, that's it. It's about the meaning we create from our experiences.
Okay.
He actually shares this anecdote about his son,
Oh, really?
who accidentally let his sister's stroller roll into a ditch.
Oh, no.
And he could have viewed that as, I'm a bad brother,
Right.
or dad's to blame for leaving it on a hill,
Oh, yeah.
or even country roads are dangerous.
Interesting.
Each interpretation shapes his beliefs about himself and the world.
Wow, that's powerful. It's not the event itself.
Right.
It's the story we tell ourselves about it.
Exactly. And that leads to the third myth Dr. Hardy busts.
Okay, what's that?
This idea that we discover our personality.
Instead of creating it,
Yeah,
I get that. Like, I like the whole finding yourself thing.
it's appealing.
Yeah, but you're saying it's the other way around.
Kind of.
Our actions create our personality.
Right. He uses this incredible story of Andre Norman
Who's that?
to illustrate this.
Okay.
Andre was a convicted felon who spent 14 years in prison.
Wow.
And then he became a Harvard fellow.
What? That's amazing.
Talk about transformation.
That's a huge turnaround. How did he go from prison to Harvard?
It started with a shift in purpose.
Okay.
He was deep in prison culture, but realized he wanted something more.
I see.
He set goals focused on self-improvement,
Yeah.
basically reinvented himself.
So his actions and choices literally shaped a new personality for him.
Yeah, it's more than just faking it.
Okay.
It's about aligning your actions with who you want to become.
I get it.
And that brings us to Dr. Hardy's central point.
Which is...
Finding your purpose is key to shaping your ideal personality.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory,
Sure.
but how do we actually do that?
Right.
They're like a roadmap for finding your purpose.
Not necessarily a step-by-step process,
Okay.
but Dr. Hardy offers some insightful suggestions.
Like what?
Remember Andre Norman?
Yeah, the Harvard fellow.
He found his purpose in prison.
Oh, wow.
It was about looking beyond his circumstance.
And envisioning a different future.
Exactly, even in what seems like a completely limiting situation.
You can still find your purpose.
Yes, you can.
So even in a really tough spot, there's still hope.
Absolutely.
That's encouraging.
For Andre, it started with identifying his goals.
Oh, okay.
He wanted out of prison, sure,
Yeah,
but he also wanted to be successful.
makes sense.
He believed education was the key, so he set his sights on college.
And that led him to Harvard.
It did. Focusing on a big, ambitious goal can shift your entire trajectory.
His purpose became like a driving force
It did.
that shaped his choices and ultimately his personality.
Exactly. And Dr. Hardy suggests a few things we can all do.
To harness that power.
Yeah, one is to rewrite our past stories.
What does he mean by that?
He suggests we view our past not as something that defines us,
Okay.
as a source of wisdom.
So acknowledge the challenges.
Yeah, but focus on the lessons learned.
And how they shaped us positively.
Right. It's about finding meaning and purpose in those experiences.
Even the tough ones.
This isn't about ignoring hard emotions.
Right.
It's about processing them, understanding them.
And integrating them into a new narrative.
Exactly.
Sounds like a lot of inner work.
It can be.
But I can see how reframing your past could be really powerful.
It can be incredibly liberating. And once you've reframed your past,
Yeah.
Dr. Hardy suggests creating a new identity.
Interesting. What does that mean?
It's not about pretending to be someone else,
Okay.
but envisioning who you want to become.
And acting accordingly.
Yes, exactly.
If I want to be more confident,
Uh-huh.
I should start doing things confident people do.
Even if you don't quite feel it yet.
Yeah.
You got to align your actions with your desired identity.
I see.
As you do that, you start to internalize those new beliefs and behaviors.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
It's amazing how Dr. Hardy connects purpose, reframing the past, creating a new identity.
It is.
It's a whole new approach to personal growth.
It is, and it all circles back to the idea that personality isn't fixed.
Right.
It's something we can consciously shape and change over time.
That's a big idea.
The key is taking ownership of that process.
This deep dive has been, wow, kind of mind-blowing.
Right.
It's empowering to realize we have so much control over our personalities.
It is, for sure.
But it's also a little scary.
I agree. It's a big responsibility,
Yeah.
but also incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see that.
imagine the possibilities.
If we all embrace this idea,
Yeah, that we can choose who we want to be,
regardless of our past,
or our limitations.
it's a lot to think about.
It is.
Can we go back to Andre Norman's story for a sec?
Sure.
It's such a dramatic example of transformation.
Yeah.
Do you think his experience is unique?
Hmm.
Or can anyone achieve that level of change?
I think Andre's story is so inspiring
Yeah.
because it shows us transformation is possible,
In any circumstance.
even in the most challenging odds.
But we shouldn't compare ourselves to him.
Right. It's not about replicating his exact path.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we all have the capacity for growth.
Within ourselves.
Exactly.
So less about replicating his path,
Yeah.
more about applying those principles to our own lives.
Exactly. Remember, it started with a shift in his mindset.
Okay.
He chose to see himself not as a prisoner defined by his past,
Right.
but as someone capable of achieving great things.
And that opened up new possibilities for him.
It did,
So even if we're not in extreme situations,
like Andre,
right, we can still apply that principle
of shifting our mindset.
to create change
Absolutely. It's about recognizing the power of our beliefs.
and how they shape our reality.
If we believe we're stuck,
We'll probably stay stuck.
yeah. But if we believe in our capacity for growth,
We open ourselves up to new
yeah,
possibilities.
exactly.
This whole idea of personality isn't permanent.
It's a game changer.
It makes you question everything.
It challenges the conventional wisdom.
But that's what makes it so exciting,
I think so. It gives us permission to evolve, to grow.
to become the best versions of ourselves.
That's a powerful message.
It really is. So for all of you deep divers listening,
Out there.
we want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
If you could design any personality for yourself, what would it be?
That's a good one.
And what one small step could you take today to move in that direction?
Could be something simple
Like setting a new goal
or challenging a limiting belief.
or practicing a new behavior.
Remember, change starts with a single step.
That's great advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It was great being here.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this.
Yeah, share your insights.
Continue the conversation with us on social media.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.